Reverends, deacons, deaconesses, and of course I say peace be unto the congregation at large. I greet you all in the name of our Lord Christ Jesus. Amen. Amen. When I was approached to facilitate the session, I considered doing one of a couple of things that I do whenever it is that I'm approached to speak publicly, and in no particular order. I thought, if I delete WhatsApp and I pretend that I didn't see the message, they can't touch me because I didn't see the message, I will find Mvumisi and attend to other things after the fact. I could change my number, and when I come to church, I avoid eye contact with the team. You can't touch me in God's house. You can't do that. I also thought, to avoid this lying nonsense, I could move. Dubai has always sounded fantastic to me. And then I looked at my bank account, and I was humbled. I said, okay, it's looking very much like this is looking at me. And so, Lilana Bazalwani. I'm not a flight risk anymore. I'm glad to confirm at the house. But I'm really, really excited to be here and to confront the fears that most of us have when it comes to public speaking. I thought, goodness me, what a wasted opportunity to turn down an opportunity to confront these anxieties head on, but most importantly to learn from an incredible professional in her field and confront these anxieties with skills and the tools that she's going to impart on us. And so I'm super excited for that. The team has requested me to just request that for those of you who were present for the first Ignite session that we had a couple of weeks ago, we will be using Menti. To just log onto your phones at this time. If you've got data, we would appreciate that you use that, but I'm just going to get confirmation from the team as to whether or not we will be able to get Wi-Fi details. I think as time goes on, they'll be able to send details for those who do not have data onto our WhatsApp group. So at this time, I'm just going to ask and give everyone about 2 minutes to log on to Menti. I'm not sure if the team is ready to just flight the details. Not yet. Oh, in 5 minutes. All right, no worries. So as time goes on, if you can just keep a lookout on the screen. When I move us to the Q&A session, it is at that time wherein we will be referring to the questions it is that you will have for our lovely speaker today in terms of how it is that you can improve your public speaking. The Church of the Holy Ghost Ignite sessions are back in full swing. Just a couple of weeks ago, the team brought you an incredible session on how to future-proof your career using artificial intelligence and technology, where we learn what practical tools we can use to keep ahead of the AI curve in the workspace. Today, the team brings you another incredible session focusing on how to uncover the power of our voices and communicate with intention and confidence. To help us unpack this, we are joined by the lovely, lovely, lovely Vanessa Bukasa. Vanessa is a chartered accountant, author, and global speaking and confidence coach dedicated to helping individuals discover and use their voice with clarity and purpose. Through her transformative coaching and speaking engagements, she has guided professionals and young leaders alike to communicate with confidence, authenticity, and impact. With her signature voice method and her book, Speaking with Confidence, The Secret Sauce to Success, Vanessa equips people with practical tools and proven strategies to speak with authority, lead with presence, and show up boldly in every space they occupy, whether in classrooms, boardrooms, or ministry. Her approach is deeply rooted in faith, purpose, and personal growth, reminding each person their voice carries power and influence. Vanessa's message is simple but profound. You belong in every room that your purpose leads you to. She continues to inspire audiences across the world to embrace their God-given voice, rise in confidence, and to lead from within. And before I welcome Vanessa to the stage, I started off with our in-house greeting, which was the book of Luke 24, verse 36. What I find important about this book, for us as children of God is that not just because we are in the house of God at this time, but in every room that we stand in, I think it's important that before God is about to do a thing, whether it is with someone internally or externally, we give him room to enter our hearts. When Christ entered the room of the disciples and greeted them with peace, I think he saw ahead and he saw the situation that I've not seen these people since I was crucified. I know that they're traumatized by what it is that they've seen. It is possible that whatever it is that I have to say to them might not land because their hearts are crippled with anxiety, with stress, whatever it is that may plague them from hearing what it is that I have prepared for them. And so he saw it fit that the first thing that he said to them was, peace be unto you. And so it is at this time where I welcome Vanessa to the stage that I also give God his room to enter our hearts, to receive that which it is he's prepared for us through our incredible speaker. Vanessa, I welcome you to the stage, and if we could give a warm round of applause.
That's all from the back, so I figured you've been clapping for a while. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here today. Thank you for coming through on a Sunday. I know that we have so many things to do and we want to prepare for the week, and then this Ignite session comes, and I'm sure you're thinking it better be worth my time. So, thank you for the wonderful introduction, Tendo. Every time I hear the introductions, I'm like, that me? So I am so honored to be here. In addition, right, so outside of the titles, I think I'm very much a God's girl. I am a girl's girl, so I love my girls. And at my core, I'm also such a teacher. I think growing up, I wanted to be a teacher. I told my dad, no, I'm going to teach kids. And he was like, absolutely not. Because he wanted me to do something completely different. He was like, do something with maths. Do something that none of us have done. He's a doctor. And I was like, you may be a doctor. He's like, that's boring. I'm already the doctor. You do something else. And that's how I went into accounting. Now, when I went into accounting, I remember my very first year, I didn't do accounting in high school, right? Because I was said that I'm not going to do accounting. I'm going to become a doctor, so I took biology, I took science. I'm going to become a doctor. And he was like, no, you're not. So, yeah, I did become a chartered accountant. But I remember when I started my very first year, I went into the lecture hall, and the lecturer said, everything that you learned in high school about accounting is nonsense. So I wanted out the window. And what you need to know is what I'm going to teach you. And so I saw that many of the kids who did accounting in school then struggled, because when you're in that exam and you are sweating and you're trying to remember what the answer is, sometimes you go back to your default. But I didn't have a default. I just knew what I'd been taught now. And so it helped me quite a bit. It gave me confidence. And in one of my tutorials, my tutor said, you know what, there's this question on the board, and I need someone who's going to be brave enough to come up and answer the question. And in that moment, I thought, I might know, but I might not know, and what if I get it wrong? I don't want people to laugh at me. I don't want everyone to remember this very moment. And then she said, the person who stands up and does this question, this equation on the board, will never forget it. You won't forget it when you're doing your exams. You won't forget this principle. It will always be with you because of the courage that it took for you to stand up and do it. And so in that moment, I plucked up all of the courage that I had, and I stood up and I did the question. I got it wrong. She explained the theory, though. She explained the concept. And to this day, it has been 16 years since that moment. I have never forgotten the moment. I have never forgotten what it's like to pluck up courage and do something, whether you know that you're going to get it right or wrong. And I've never forgotten the concept. I know you might be thinking 16 years, you don't look a day over 21. I am many days over 21. But that's also just to encourage you. For some of the activities that we're going to be doing, I will call on volunteers. And you might say, absolutely not. What if I'm embarrassed? What if everybody remembers this moment? But I promise you, it might just be a moment that you never forget. And a moment that you continue to think about even when you're in your professional space and you're like, if I could do it then, in front of everyone, and risk being embarrassed, I think I can do it now. I think I can do it 5 years from now. Okay? Awesome. Great. So, I've got an icebreaker for us. You are going to be working with the person next to you, Rev. Tender. So it's called the gifts game. And how it works is partner A will pretend to open a gift and they will tell you what the gift is. Then partner B has to respond and say why they got you that gift. So mind you, partner B doesn't know what the gift is. So for example, partner A will open up and say, what, Tendo, you got me a giraffe? I love giraffes. And then Tendo will say, oh, Vanessa, I got you a giraffe because, and then you have to speak for 30 seconds. Okay? And make it funny, make it creative. Don't just, oh, you got me flowers. No! Make it wild. Okay? Let's go. With the person next to you. They got you.
from the gift that I've received here. I'm looking forward to seeing it in real life, Rev. We have witnesses in the house.
Absolutely. So what you just did there was an example of public speaking. Because sometimes we're thinking public speaking, it just means a big stage, a big presentation, lots of people. But public speaking is, or rather, what you just did is an example of public speaking. And that was what we call impromptu or spontaneous speaking. Because you didn't know what they were going to say the gift is. But then you had to think on your feet and give an answer and speak for 30 seconds. Okay, awesome. So, when you hear the words public speaking, what is the first thing that comes to mind? In front of people.
Perfection.
Perfection. Anxiety. I hear you.
Stage.
The stage, absolutely.
Fainting.
Taylor, we're so glad you're not a flight risk. Okay, awesome. Now, I want for you to see the public speaking, or rather the situations that I'm going to put on board, and you say yes or no if you think this is a public speaking situation. Giving a presentation in front of your peers.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Asking a question during a meeting.
Yes.
Why am I here? You guys know public speaking? Sharing your testimony at youth group. Having a one-on-one performance review with your boss. No. A video of you speaking on your Instagram or your TikTok story. Ordering food at a restaurant? No. Okay. I just realized when I was doing my slides, I forgot that bottom piece. I was supposed to click and then it comes on. Now, public speaking is anytime you have these three things in place. When you have a speaker, that is generally you have an audience, and an audience can be one person or 1,000 people. You are also your audience. And you have a message for that audience. Anytime you have those three things in place, you're in a public speaking situation. And so ordering food at a restaurant, it's public speaking. Having a one-on-one performance review with your manager, because you've got the speaker, you've got an audience, you've got a message for that audience, you're in public speaking. And I think a lot of us believe that with public speaking, you need the big stage, you need a sea of people looking at you, the bright lights, a presentation. You know, when you're on the corridor there and someone's like, hey, how's your weekend? You're already in public speaking. When you pick up your phone and you want to send Tinder a voice note, but she deleted her WhatsApp. When you want to do that WhatsApp voice note, that is a public speaking situation. When you look at yourself in the mirror and you speak to yourself, that is public speaking. And so you see that we actually engage in public speaking a lot more frequently than we realize. It's not a once in a while type of thing. It is every single day and all the time. Okay, now we've got the public speaking definition. Let's go into confidence, because we all want to speak with confidence. What is confidence? And don't mind my answer that's there. How would you describe confidence?
Being sure of yourself.
Being sure of yourself, okay. Courage. Strength. Knowing your message, absolutely.
Boldness.
Boldness, I like that. Okay, so everything that we've described here, it definitely forms part of confidence. At its core, confidence is trust. If I say I have confidence in this chair, it means I trust that this chair will hold me. Let's say I was meant to come here today. You pitched and I didn't pitch, right? And I messaged Snare. I'm like, oh my goodness, XYZ happened. I'm so sorry. It was very last minute. I'm not able to make it. Can we do it next week? Next week, will you come? Oh, the one mistake. Thanks, Tendo. Is nobody else coming? You're like, you wasted my Sunday once. I won't allow you to waste it again. Unless I was sick, okay. And what if my excuse was plausible? You were like, oh, is that what happened? Okay, no. Next week. Would you come? Okay, cool. Next week comes, I don't pitch. Now you're like, it doesn't matter. You could be in ICU, it doesn't matter. The following week, but I'm like, guys, I promise you, the following week I will be there. Are you coming? No. Do you trust me? No. Okay. So when it comes to trust, generally what I've seen is with other people, our expectations are up here. How often do you break the promises that you make to yourself? Yeah. We break the promises that we made to ourselves, but somehow we want to trust ourselves. How are we building the trust? You build the trust by keeping the commitments that you make. And the thing is, even the way that our brains are wired, if I say, you know what, I'm going to do it, I will speak up in that meeting. This week, I'm going to speak up. They're going to know, my ideas, I'm going to share. I get there, I don't speak. And I tell myself, oh, the reason why I didn't speak was because. And my brain's like, then the following week I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it. My brain's like, yeah, right. No, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it because remember you're scared. Remember that past event. Remember how they judged you. Because those are all the excuses that I fed myself for all the reasons why I didn't do it. And so before we look at other people and we're like, you must earn my trust. Let us start earning our own trust. So to have self-confidence, it means to have self-trust. And you will build that trust by keeping the word that you make to you. Okay. What is it that holds us back from speaking? And I want to see with a show of hands, right? If this resonates with you. Fear of judgment. What if I get up there and they're like, you don't even know your stuff. Absolutely. So many of us feel it. What if I say something and they're thinking, wait, how long have you been in the company? How are you still asking that question? You know? So we have that judgment. We're already judging ourselves. And we think everybody else would judge it that way. So we just keep quiet in the moments that matter. Fear of saying the wrong thing. Yeah, you're like, if I don't know 100%, I'm not saying a thing. Because they're not going to catch me. Okay? Believing that your hard work should be enough. Like, have you seen my reports? What else do I need to say on top of this? Why do you want me to speak? Martha, I see you. Why do you want me to speak more? Go through the reports. Waiting for permission. You know where you're like, do you have something to say? then you're like, okay, yes, I actually do have something to say. Or, hey, you had shared that idea with me. Please, share it with everyone else. And like, okay, cool. Yeah, then I'll share it. Okay. Believing that you don't have enough experience. You know, I've only been here 6 months. How am I talking with people who have been here for decades? Like, what am I going to say that's even worthwhile? Right? Yeah, absolutely. Fear of being too much. I don't want to start speaking because either I overshare or I don't stop. My energy is it's a lot, and I've seen how people respond to it. Now, there are all these things that tend to hold us back, and we are going to go through it in my voice framework. And many of the things that hold us back, you'll actually realize aren't even valid excuses. It is not a valid reason for you to actually keep quiet in the moments that matter. Okay? So, this voice method, it's something that I came up with after many years. I was telling Martha, I still think I'm underpaid to this point because I spent many years, okay, not getting the recognition that I think I deserved. But unfortunately, when you're not visible, nobody's dreaming about you. Nobody's thinking, even my manager is not thinking, how do I get Vanessa that promotion? No, he's thinking, how do I get my promotion? Nobody's thinking about you that much. And so sometimes we tend to put, especially our careers, in other people's hands. We're just hoping that somebody else will drive it. Somebody else will tell us the next step. Somebody else, but never really us. And it held me back for years. Let me tell you about an interview I went to. And so I worked in this team, right? So I'm in banking, and I worked in this team when I joined the banking space. After a few years, I left. I decided I'm going to get more experience somewhere else. Then the opportunity came to be a manager in my old team. And I was like, duh. Like, did you see my work? Like, I'm actually the person for this role. Now, I submit my CV. I'm excited. The hiring manager's excited. The team is excited. They're like, Vanessa, are you going to lead us? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to lead you. And I go to the interview. I'm thinking, these people know me, right? Like, hello, you've seen me, you've seen my work. So I'm answering as I normally would. And then a few weeks later, I get a meeting invite for the feedback. We're going to the feedback, and the hiring manager's like, we were so excited. We were so excited when you applied, but in that interview, you disappeared. It was actually disappointing. I won't lie, it was disappointing. You can imagine hearing this. My tears were here. But I was like, you would not catch me crying at work. So I listened to the feedback. I said thank you, and I walked out. Because if I spoke just one more word, I was going to just burst into tears. And I remember driving home that day, I had hot tears streaming down my face. I told my husband about it. I'm like, they don't even know me. They don't even know me. Do you know that I was the best person for that role? Do you know that? And, you know, he's trying to calm me down and stuff, but it's not working. Then I call my mentor the next day, and I'm like, can you believe it? They said I was disappointing. Me? Disappointing? Like, I am good at my work. And he said, you know, we're always going to get feedback. And you can allow your feedback to either define you. So now you are forever that girl who sucks at interviews, even though we know you can do the work. But because HR is in the interview, we can't say, we know she sucks, but actually she's really good. Like, let's give her a chance. They can't do that. You actually have to show up in the interview. So you can be the person who's defined by that feedback and now you wear it. Oh, I just suck at interviews. I'm never going to go do another interview. Or you can use it to develop you. What is it that you need to develop? And at the time, I took that and I thought, I need to develop my leadership. I need to develop my decision-making skills. I need to develop my personal branding because, you know, clearly I see myself as one thing, but they're seeing something else. And so I went on course after course, name the course, I was there. I was telling Martha earlier, I did a course in Portuguese because I was like, yeah, and I can also speak to our counterparts in Mozambique, so I'm the person, I can do anything. Name the course, I was there. But the mistake that I was doing is that I was attending all of these courses, but I'm not implementing anything. Because I just thought, if I'm just there, if I'm just listening, if I'm just reading, it's more than enough. I've done it. I've done the course. Absolutely not. And so I thought to myself, if I implement one thing, just one thing that I've learned in these courses, what would it be? And what I realized is with leadership, you need to be able to communicate. When making decisions, you need to be able to communicate. If you want to build a brand for yourself, you need to be able to communicate. Anything, including the Portuguese, I needed to be able to communicate. And so I thought, let me work on just communication. Let me see how I can speak up a bit more. How I can stop waiting for my word to speak for itself. How I can stop waiting for permission for somebody else to tell me, no, share that idea. How can I speak with confidence? And so I started very small, but I also observed quite a lot. Because I would ask my manager to take me with him to the very senior meetings. And I wanted to see, how do they communicate? How do they bring back a room? How do they react after they've made a mistake? Because sometimes we think it's just us who make the mistakes. It's just juniors. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody. It's just they don't sit and dwell and swim in the mud and roll in it for as long as we do. Okay? And with that, I then came up with this voice framework. So I'm going to share it with you. And if you make notes, wonderful. But what I want for you to do is to implement. Okay? So you will take at least one thing and implement. Great. So just to introduce it, the first thing in the voice method is to value your voice. Okay, to value your voice. And then we look at owning your presence. You own your presence with your body language, you own your presence with your vocal variety. What is it about you that stands out? How do we know that Snare is in the room? What is it about her? Even without speaking, you can have presence. We'll then look at intentional messaging. You know the oversharers, you know the ramblers, you know the one who can take us from point A to C to D to Z to P. And then at the end, we don't know what the point is. Intentional messaging. We will catch the inner critic. This is the one that's telling you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not experienced enough. Remember the last time when you made a mistake and how that was catastrophic. Girl, don't do it, don't speak. That is the critic, and we're going to catch it. And then finally, we're going to express without apology and express assertively. I don't know why, but some of us apologize for everything. Rev, I'm so sorry. Can I please speak to you? Taylor, I'm so sorry. Taylor, I'm so sorry. We are always sorry. Why? Okay. So, valuing your voice. Now, the thing about valuing your voice is that it happens internally and it has to happen with you first. I think sometimes we are hoping that someone would just come and say, I can read the idea that you have. I promise you it's a good idea, share it. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. You almost have to detach yourself from the outcome. It might land, it might not land. They might say, great idea. They might say, nah, no. But you have to value it first before you can speak. There are people who can be speaking utter nonsense. But because they have the conviction, we're actually listening. Even in our minds, we're like, yeah, I don't think so. But you are listening. They have caught your attention. They value their voice. They value whatever contribution it is that they are bringing to the table. So you need to value your voice, your value, your contribution first. There's no one who actually gives you the permission. I used to wait for permission. I'm still waiting. Nobody gives it to you. You have to give yourself that permission. There's a scripture that I think about quite often, and I read it just before I have a speaking engagement. Because when I prepare, I'm like, yeah, and I'm going to talk about this, and I'll put this, and we're going to do this activity, and. And then, like a day or two, I'm like, wait, did they call me to do it? Are they sure? Like, me? What if I speak utter nonsense? What if, oh my goodness, you're right, let me cancel, let me just let them know, like, I'm so sorry, I'm feeling sick, like, I'm just not going to do it. Pretty much what Tendo goes through, right? And there's this scripture in Jeremiah, and I hope I get the interpretation right, because this is pressure here at the church and Revis right here. There's a scripture in Jeremiah 1, and it's where God is sending Jeremiah out to speak to the people. And he says, but I'm too young. And he says, God says, don't say you're too young. I'm the one who sent you. And I will place my hand over your mouth. I will put the words for you to speak to the people. And every time, literally, as I'm driving, I'm like, place your hand right now. Place your hand. Place your hand. Put the words. Okay. Put the words. I don't know the people's. What if they don't like what I'm about to say? Put the words that you want for them to hear. Now, how many times do you get an idea and then you don't share it? But then we're praying like, God, give me ideas. Help me speak up. You're in the moment and you feel something on your heart. You're like, this I want to share, but you don't speak up. So with V, I want you to value your voice, value your contribution, value what God has put in you. You're in that room, you're in this time, you're with those people for a reason. Okay? And you actually play a valuable role. So, there's an activity, and I want you to share it with the person next to you. I want to know, what is one thing that you know? It could be a skill, an insight, a lesson, something that could actually help other people, but you've never actually spoken about it. You've always kept it quiet. And it could be anything. A lesson that you've learned, a skill that you're quite good at. Maybe, I don't know, I know I can make a mean meal under 30 minutes. Like, the kitchen is my playground. And my friends would be like, how do you do it? And I thought everybody did it. And I was like, oh, okay, so you know what you could actually do. And then I'll give you step by step. I didn't think that was a skill. It is a skill. Okay, so what is one thing that you are actually quite good at, a lesson that you've learned, anything that could help somebody else, but you've never spoken about it? Share it with your neighbor. Have you learned something new about your neighbor? Yeah. Yeah. You learned something new about your neighbor, right? Yeah. And how did it feel for you? How did it feel for you sharing this thing? How was it for you to share this skill, this lesson, something that could help other people, but you don't speak about it much? Yeah? Good? Awesome, awesome. And that's the thing with our contributions. That's the thing with our perspectives. That's the thing with our expertise. Sometimes we get into a meeting, a session, and you're thinking, if I don't know what that person knows, then what I know is not worthwhile. If I don't have the same experience as that other person, then my experience is not worthwhile. But the thing is, everything that you have been through, all of your lessons, your journeys, your stories, it has shaped your perspective. It has shaped the way that you do certain things. And sometimes then your idea or your contribution is the thing that we were looking for. It is the thing that was different. There's an example I like to give. So let's say we're having a meeting here about taps. Okay? And we've got one person who's a manufacturer of taps, another person who's a distributor of taps. And me, I'm just a user. I don't manufacture, I don't distribute, I use it at home. And we're having a conversation about taps. Now, sometimes what we think is that people are going to expect me to know about the manufacturer and the distributor. And no, but I was invited to this meeting, to this conversation for my perspective. And I'm going to give you the perspective from the user of a tap. And then the other person will give the perspective from a manufacturer of taps. So you don't have to be the expert of all experts before you speak. Your perspective, as you have it, it matters. Yes, we can refine our knowledge. Yes, we can refine our experience, but do not undermine it. And even if it is basic, because you're thinking, I'm just a user of taps. Oh my gosh, what am I going to say? Surely they know how taps work. What am I even going to say that is worthwhile? Sometimes the common knowledge is not that common, okay? So I dare you to be dull. I dare you in the moments where you're thinking, oh, this is so obvious. Everybody knows this. What is the point of me even sharing it? Share it. Share it. You never know, there might be someone there who has not considered the perspective that you have brought. So value your contributions. Okay. The next is to own your presence. Now, what I can tell you is that the minute you walk into a room, the minute you step into a space, people are making conclusions about you, like it or not. And they do it, we also do it, okay? You also make conclusions. As I was walking up here, I don't know, am I going to trust her? You were making conclusions. So you have about 7 seconds to send out the message that you want people to receive about you. The way that you walk in, the way that you sit, where you decide to sit, everything says something about you. It is constantly sending messages. So you are speaking before you speak. You are speaking before you utter a word. Your presence is essentially introducing you. Okay? So if Tendo had called me and I walked up, hi. Are you thinking, she's gonna teach me confidence? No. You're thinking, I knew I wasted my Sunday. I knew I shouldn't have come here. That is what you're thinking. And I haven't even said a word, but I sent you a message. Now, if I walked up, you might think I'm confident, but you might also think she's so stank. Like, I'm not trying to learn from her either. So I've almost now created a barrier between us. And I haven't even started speaking. You know, you were talking about the piece and opening up the heart to receive what the guest is about to say. When I walk in like that, your heart is like, thanks, Tendo, but it's closing. I do not want to receive what she has to say. Okay? But when you walk in, firstly, you're walking in, you trust the value that you're coming in with. You are grateful to be in this space. You walk in, you are confident, you are showing the presence. Then you're like, okay, I might be open to learn from her. So as you can see there, it was the same person, but I sent 3 different messages without speaking. That was just on my body language. So when it comes to nonverbal communication and having presence, it's everything that you're doing without speaking. It's the way that you stand. It's the way that you sit. You walk into a meeting, you're a bit late, and you're like... Would the CEO walk in like that? No. Even if they were late, they would walk in knowing that I belong. I belong here. And I'm not saying be arrogant. I'm not saying be arrogant, but stop being so apologetic. Okay? Show appreciation. Thank you for waiting for me. Even if in their minds they're like, we weren't, but thank you for waiting for me. And you take your seat. And where do you sit? Not in the corner. What's the corner saying? I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be here. Don't ask me anything. That's what the corner is saying. But you are here. You are in this meeting. Be here. So you sit where the host sits. You sit where the decision maker sits. Make your presence felt. And when you're speaking, you speak to them. You speak directly. You make eye contact. You make use of your hands. If I stood here the entire time and my hands are just behind my back and I'm doing everything not to show them, you're not even listening to me anymore. You're wondering, what are you hiding? What are you hiding? You know when you catch a child having biscuits, they weren't supposed to have biscuits. You're like, are you having biscuits? They're like, no. The thing is, we put our hands up to almost show honesty, to show truth. We even see it in football, you know, when the referee's like, ah, and the guy's like, because when you show your palm, it actually signals to the other person that, okay, this is honesty, this is openness, this is someone I can trust. Okay, so that's why it's actually important to make use of your hands and show your palms as often as you can. It's sending signals to the other person. And eye contact is important. I was speaking to Nozi earlier. And we were talking about making eye contact, especially when you're standing up in front here with people and you're thinking, oh, this is so awkward. And what if I look at someone and they're like, now you're like, should I stop? Should I address that? Like, why are you confused? Why? You know, it might just disrupt my message. But what else does eye contact do? If I look at you, don't you feel like I'm talking to you? Yeah. Don't you feel like it's about you? But I won't have that connection if I was looking at the top the entire time, if I'm looking at the bottom, if we're talking and then I keep looking that side. You might think there's something important there. You're not going to think you're the important person that I'm speaking to. And so eye contact is actually important to build that connection, to have that engagement, for someone to feel that, you know what, she was speaking to me. Sometimes we want our message to just be hard-hitting. I want to spit the gems. Maybe just connect with the person, be present, and share the message that you have that you feel might be bland, you feel might be dull, but because of the way that you delivered it, it actually impacted them. So that's the importance with body language, and it brings presence. And that is all without you speaking. Now let's have a look at vocal variety, because it's not just what we say, but it's how we say it. Did you hear how I said how? I could have said it's also how we say it. That wasn't really going to hit. But when I say how, now you're like, how? Yes, it is also how we say it. So there are a couple vocal variety tools that I want us to look at, right? The first one is to pause. How many people feel awkward when there's a silence? Because now you want to fill the silence. You're like, oh, what's going on? I want to fill the silence. And when we want to fill the silence, what do we say? Exactly. If I stood here and every second word was so I think so what if we you're waiting for my next You're not even listening to my message anymore. You are waiting for the next You're literally like And that's exactly how it is. And so pausing is important because it does many things for you. The first thing, it helps you to catch up with your thoughts, because our minds will be running. It's already on the next thing. But your voice still needs to catch up to the idea. And to give yourself a moment just to think, you need to pause. Just for 1 second. I'm not asking you to pause for 10 seconds because, yes, then it is awkward. Now, I don't know, Tendo's like, are you done? But pausing for 1 second, it helps you to catch your thoughts. What it also does is that it helps your audience to digest what you've just said. Because if you're just speaking all the time and you're going fast, you're just giving all the information. And. They're like, whoa. What was it that you just said now? They don't actually have a moment to digest what you have just said. So when you pause, you are actually being very kind to your audience. Even if in the moment it feels awkward for you, you are being kind. Thirdly, it creates anticipation. You know, if I'm like, guess what? You're like, what? But if I was like, guess what? Today I went to the... You're like, okay. What did you just say? What did you want to tell me? So it creates that anticipation. And when we want to speak, you want to build some emotion in people. We're not robots. People remember things where there was emotion. And so you want to create that anticipation while you are speaking. If there's one thing that you can implement when you are speaking from this week, pause. Just pause and keep the eye contact so they know that you're still speaking. Because if you just pause, especially in a meeting, they might not know, are you done or are you not? We keep the eye contact, but pause. The next thing I want us to look at is volume. So this is how high you go with your voice or how low you go with your voice. Okay, we can actually play with our voices. How many of us have sounded the same for years? Like, this is my voice. Right? And if I had to ask you to speak a bit louder, you'd be like, that's so weird. That's not my voice. That's not how I speak. Whose voice is it? It is your voice. But you've never actually explored your voice. Think about your voice as an instrument, right? Let's say we have a piano, and a piano has 88 keys. Most of us have been playing with one key, so it's just boom, boom, boom. No, this is our song. This is my voice. Boom, boom. Yeah, no, I've got a very soft voice. Yeah, I speak so loudly, I don't know what to do. But you have only been playing with one key. Can you imagine if that is all we use pianos for? Just one key. We would have missed out on all of those melodious sounds, on all of the tunes that we had. We would have missed out on that because we never explored the other keys. Now, your voice is the same. If you speak louder and it feels awkward, good. You've never explored it. If you speak softer and it feels awkward, good. If you speak faster, if you speak slower, if you just try things with your voice and it feels different, good. Explore your voice. So we're going to speak louder, we're going to speak softer. But the thing is, the way that you speak with your volume can also incite different emotions in people. Okay? I could say, get out! Get out! You know, yeah, I'm shouting, get out. I could say, get out. Now you're like, whoa, okay, I'm out. And it just depends on the message that you are trying to send. Just like I can say, I'm so excited. Or I could say, I'm so excited. Which one do you believe? The first one. And that was purely because of volume. I said the exact same words, but I changed my volume. So depending on the message that you want to send out, depending on how you want your audience to feel, you can just change your volume. And then finally, pacing. So this is how quickly you're speaking or how slowly you're speaking. Some of us, you know, we speak really fast. Others speak so slow. You know that you get people who speak really slow and you're literally completing their sentences in your head. You're like, yeah, you said okay. Oh, the weekend, yeah. And you almost want to just rush them off. Now, when it comes to pacing, once again, it depends on what you want to invoke in the audience and does it serve you? So I'm not going to tell you this is right, this is wrong. Does it serve you? Did you hear that? Does it? That was my pacing, but I really wanted that question to stay with you because I could have said, does it serve you? And then maybe it just goes over you. So whether you want to speak fast or you want to speak slow, ask yourself in this moment, with this message that I'm about to share, what will serve me? Will it be if I go fast? Will it be if I go slower? Okay. Now, I'm going to need volunteers to put into practice what we've done so far. Remember my moment in my first year, my heart is like, and come through. One more. I see you. You come on. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna read out a poem. You will read the first stanza and you will read the second stanza. What's your name? Amaholo. Okay, perfect. So, Sko, you'll start us off. You will read the first stanza. Now, I want you to read it as you normally would. Okay, so don't try to pause, don't try to volume. Just read it as you normally would. And then afterwards, we will implement some of the tools that we've learned and we hear the difference. Okay?
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate.
Is that how you normally read? when they say too much.
Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. You playing small does not serve the world.
Okay, I see we're very creative here. Okay, it's cool. So I'm going to ask you to do it again. But this time, you're going to pause a bit more often. So, for example, you'll say, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Okay, so we're going to pause. And then you will increase your volume. Maybe with the third line, you'll increase your volume. Then your volume will go back down. And then you can increase your pace with actually. So you say it a bit faster, and then you slow down. Okay, so that we can then hear the difference.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. You playing small does not serve the world.
Thank you for our in-house talent. But could you hear the difference from the first time and the second time? You almost feel like it's invoking certain emotions in you. Same words, but the difference is this time we paused, we added some volume, and we also paced ourselves differently. Okay, awesome. First time, you read it as you normally would. Okay?
There is nothing enlightened about shrinking, so that other people won't feel insecure about you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
So now we're going to do it again. And when you feel that you want to just take a breath, you pause. Okay? And when you get to this line here, I want your volume to go up because you believe in this and you're sharing it with other children and you want for them to shine. Okay? And then when you get to here, I want you to just slow down. Okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Go for it.
There is nothing enlightened about shrinking, so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine as children do. We're born to manifest the glory of God that's within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
How did that feel the second time round?
Better.
Yeah. Did you believe in the message more?
Yes.
Yeah. Because the first time we just like reading it and stuff. Yeah. And for you, how was it the second time round?
The second time round was much better. The whole fabulous bit. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so you can see how it's the same words, the same message, but it will land differently just depending on how you say it. Thank you so much. Okay, so I've got a 5-minute stretch break for us. I know that these sessions can be long. I was hoping you say, no, keep going. Okay, no, actually, I just need to drink some water. So we're going to take a 5-minute stretch break. We'll be back in 5. Okay, move, breathe, refresh, drink water.
I'll never sit next to you. If there's one person, it's not you. Nothing should I know. Never. No, you end up laughing the whole
And then we are going to be reminded of the previous stories.
Do you know how many times I want to go? The last person.
Brace yourself, because I'm going to change. You are going to see a new me. I'm going to pause.
Yes.
You are going to see volume. You are going to see the face. Brace yourself.
We are bracing.
You'll be like, you done it last week. Actually not.
I'm just pausing. For effect.
Yeah, I don't pause. And I have a friend there. And a voice note. I always listen. On 1.5. She has to finish it. She is very slow. You know, and Shemna, I feel it's harder when you're in a conversation. I mean, I'm the first one. She's the slow one. I finish her sentences, then she has to listen to me. But then I can't listen to her. Yes, no one.
Okay. Pretend you don't know me.
Uraro, everyone. Utula, Utula, Shalom, peace be unto you. Utula, if we can just ask that we resume with the session. There are other activities after Ignite, and we would like to keep on schedule. So for everyone who's still outside in the toilets, just pray to your God to wrap it up, and we get the show on the road. I'll give everyone another 30 seconds or so, and I will hand back to Vanessa. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Welcome back. So we're going to continue with the voice framework. So we've covered V, to value your voice, your contribution first. Then we spoke about O, which is all about owning your presence, whether it is your body language or the way in which you speak. Now we're going on to I. And I is all about intentional messaging. How many of us struggle with rambling? You can go on and on and on and completely lose us. Okay. And how many of us sometimes wonder if we've given enough information because you're very brief? Right? You can just get straight to the point. They're like, is the project on track? Yes. We're like, what else? But you are very brief. And sometimes you're wondering, what else can I say? You know, I told you the project is on track. I don't know, I don't have anything else to say. So this framework that I'm going to teach you is called the PREP framework. P-R-E-P. This is something that you can use in meetings, something that you can use if you've been asked to just speak spontaneously and you don't know where to start. Okay. It helps you to keep your message concise. It helps you give enough information so that the people or the person listening to you know what to do with that information. They have enough. They can make a decision, they can take an action, or their knowledge is updated on something. Cool. So, the first P is your point. What is your main message? What is the bottom line? What is the point? Is the project on track? Yes, the project is on track. That is the point. There's no, oh yeah, actually, before I tell you if the project's on track, so what I wanted to talk about, no, there's none of that. We are straight to the point. Next is the reason. Why? Why does it matter what you just said? Or what can you give to support what you have just said? Yes, the project is on track. I checked with the technology team. They have all the resources that they need to go ahead with the next phase of the project. So now you've given the person, the manager, whoever it is, a bit more information, right? The reason. Also, 1 or 2 sentences maximum. Then an example. If you have an example, share it. People are able to connect some information when you are able to give an example. Either you give an example or you give your experience. Yes, the project is on track. I checked with the tech team. They've got all the resources that they need to go ahead. In my experience, when we are at this stage, we normally are able to meet the timeline. And then finally, the point again. You restate the point again, just in case they lost you in the previous 2 sentences. And so I believe that we're on track for the timeline. Okay, so this helps you to really keep your message concise. It helps you to give enough information. So whether you ramble, you can use this to keep your message straight to the point. Or if you struggle and you don't know what else do I even say here, you can then make use of this framework. What I also love about it is that you know about it now, others may not. So when you're in a meeting and someone gives some information and you don't know, you're like, I've always wanted to speak up, I want to ask questions, I don't know. You can say, what's the reason for you saying it's on track? Or do you have an example to share with us? Because now you know the framework, okay? Or they could just be rambling, and you're like, okay, what's the bottom line? What's the point? And then they get straight to the point. So an example I like to give is somebody says, what's your favorite book? And you're like, oh, when I was in high school, my favorite book was, actually, no. You know, when I started working, a book that really helped me in my career, oh no. There was a time in my relationship where I was so low. And now the person listening to you is like, what is your favorite book? You don't have to give every single book, but just pick one. Pick one. You say, my favorite book is X. The reason why I like it is because, you know what, in my experience, when I implemented this one lesson in that book, and that's why I say my favorite book is straight to the point, but you've given them enough information to actually understand why this book is your favorite book. I'm going to need more volunteers. We're going to put this into practice. 3. Unati. Come on. One. Yes. Listen, we're starting it young. I hope my questions are not too advanced. Okay. Maybe let me rephrase it. No. Okay, so we'll start with you. What's your name? On the ground. I want your back straight and your chin up. There we go. What's your name? Say it with conviction.
Lutando, ma'am.
Say it on with the mic.
Lutando.
Yes. Hand of applause for Lutando. Okay, perfect. So, Lutando, when young people are deciding what to do for work or what to do when they grow up, do you think they should follow their passion, or should they just do the thing that will bring them the most money so that they don't struggle?
I think they should follow their passion because, like, if you're passionate about something, you're most likely to do it better than something that you're not passionate about.
And Lutando, do you have an example of that, or have you seen anyone do that where they followed their passion and they really did quite well in it?
For example, like, I have a friend, right, who wanted to do, like, he wanted to do soccer, but, like, all his friends were doing rugby and stuff. So, and then he tried rugby since his friends were doing it, and he wasn't that good. Then he went back to soccer, and since he liked it, he was really good at it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And now I want you to close it up one more time. Now you're going to say, and that's why I think you should follow.
And that's why I think you should follow your passion.
Thank you, Lutando. I think this one's for Unati.
I'm joking.
Unati, what is one skill every professional should develop in the next 5 years?
The one skill every profession should develop in the next 5 years is, I think, public speaking. Sorry. Okay, I'll start over. I think the one skill that every profession should develop in the next 5 years is public speaking, like what I'm struggling with right now. Yeah. The reason is that you are able to connect better with people, you are able to share your message clearly with others, and you are able to get your point across so that work can be done effectively.
And what's been your experience with public speaking?
With public speaking, I've got what you mentioned earlier. It's the fear of being judged, or the fear of actually thinking that you're going to say the wrong thing. And you are thinking that, oh my goodness, I'm going to look silly or stupid. And I've struggled with that a lot of times. But then someone had said to me previously, rather do something than not doing it at all. Rather do it scared rather than not doing it at all. Yeah. My point is that I think that the one skill that everyone should learn in the next 5 years is good public speaking. And the reason is so that you can express your message effectively, and something that a lot of people struggle with. But there we go again. I'll get it right one day, but yeah.
Thank you, Nati.
My name is Uarabile.
Uarabile, why do you think it is important to have relationships with other people? So it could be your friends at church, it could be your friends at school, in your classrooms. Why do you think it's important to have relationships?
I think it's important to have relationships because once you make friends, they could help you along the way, even when you're having hard times, or if you're hurt physically or mentally.
Absolutely. And do you have an example where you were there for one of your friends, or one of your friends were there for you?
Well, last year, all of my friends, they didn't like me that much. I had one friend, and instead of me sitting with them because I had no one to talk to or anything, that one friend came to sit with me and talk to me.
I love that. Awesome. And can you tell us again, that's why you believe having friends are important?
And that's why I believe having friends and relationships.
Absolutely. Thank you to our volunteers. Can you see with that last question? I mean, I rephrased it to relationships, but she covered it. Networking is actually important. You never know who is going to be there for you, especially in your professional world, in your careers. So many times we think opportunities will come because my CV is shiny. Nope. You think opportunities will come because, do you know my title? Have you met me? Nope. Opportunities come from people. It's people who call you and say, there's this opportunity at work, apply for it. It's people who call you and say, that problem that you had with your business, I know someone who can help you. It is people who will then mention your name in rooms that you're not. You know, we love that. I want my name mentioned in rooms that I'm not in. Who's going to mention it? It's people. But those people you need to have some sort of relationship with. And that's why networking is so important. So thank you so much for telling us about relationships. Okay, now we're going to move on to C. And C is for you to catch the inner critic. You know that critic that is telling you, you're not good enough, you're gonna make a mistake, remember the last time what happened, you're not yet experienced, you're this, you're that, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too dark, you're too light, you don't speak well. All of the reasons why what you're about to say is not important and you shouldn't say it. And sometimes we give in and we let it hold us back. We keep feeding it, we keep feeding it. But there comes a time when we almost have to interrupt that pattern and say, that voice comes or that message comes and you're like, absolutely not. I know who sent me, I know why I'm here, I value my voice and I'm gonna speak, okay? But before we get there, before we have the, I'm so worthy, I belong in this room, before you get there, you actually need to even recognize what is this critic even saying when it does speak? And where does it come from? Because it's not overnight. Sometimes it's what the people who raised you had been saying to you for such a long time. And I think we don't always realize just how long words can linger. And it could be the tiniest thing. It could be, I've always been made fun about my big head. And now you're in meetings and you're like, why am I going to speak? I've got a big head. Like, the correlation is just, it's not even making sense. But something like that will actually stop you. It will hold you back. I had a client who used to worry because she was so tall. And she was like, no, when I walk into rooms, I'm scared because I'm tall. I'm like, what? I want to be tall. And so you never know what it is that's going to hold back. Okay. So other people's words have had an impact on us. But unfortunately, or fortunately, it's on us now to work through it. But I never want for your words to hold you back. So don't say the things that you would not say to a friend to yourself. Don't call yourself stupid. Don't call yourself silly. Don't tell yourself that you're not good enough. If you're telling it to yourself, you're going to start believing it. Not even as a joke. Not even as a joke. We don't do that. You make a mistake and you're like, I always do that. No. You made a mistake. Everybody makes a mistake. How do you handle that mistake? That's the difference. Okay? So I want us to really think about what is it that that critical voice within you says before you speak. It could be you're not smart enough. That's a stupid question. Don't even ask it. You're literally going to waste everyone's time. Don't do it. Who do you think you are to speak on this topic? You've only been here 3 months. Who do you think you are? You are going to mess this up. You remember the last time you did it? You messed it up. You got to do it again. I'm just here to tell you don't do it, but okay. You don't belong here. No one here looks like you. No one here sounds like you. No one here is from your background. You don't belong here. What does your critic say? I want you to chat to the person next to you.
I did it unintentionally so that I didn't drama.
Were we able to say it out loud? And how often, when your neighbor tells you what their critic says, you're like, what? No! What are you talking about? Right? But for ourselves, in that moment, it actually holds us back. And it can be the tiniest thing, but it will hold us back. So it's very important to notice what it is saying to you and identify, where is this even coming from? And most times I can tell you it's not the truth. It is not the truth. But where is it coming from? Because if you know what's driving it, then you know how to stop these patterns. And, I even say this to parents. Sometimes we still struggle with the things that our parents and our guardians said to us. But how are you now speaking to your child? How are you entertaining their questions? Or do you dismiss it like, that's such a stupid question? Because that's the child who would then be in the boardroom one day and doubt their question because they're thinking, that's such a stupid question. Okay, so you notice it. You identify where it comes from, and then we work through it. So it's not there for you now to be on some, hey, you're my best friend, you're going to be... No. It's not always going to be there. But I want for you to reframe it. If you had to tell yourself the truth, what is the truth? What is the truth? And then you have to act in that truth. Because if you keep acting in the critical lie, that's all that's going to keep showing up. But if you start acting in the truth, then that is what you will get to experience. Okay. And then finally, we want to express without apology and express assertively. When you hear the word assertive, how many of us are thinking aggressive? How many of us are thinking it means my way or the highway? And I think a lot of us struggle with assertive communication because we think it means being aggressive. Okay, we're going to cover assertive communication, but some of the things we need to stop apologizing for, because we apologize as a people. We apologize. Stop apologizing for asking questions. Sorry, I just have a question. Why are you sorry? Why are you sorry? You put your hand up if you need to, or you say, I have a question. I have a question on that. And that's it. Can you hear the difference between sorry, I have a question, and I have a question? It's not rude, but you're not apologizing for Lord knows what we actually apologize for. Stop apologizing for having an opinion. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, why are you sorry? It's your perspective. It's your opinion. You can say, I have a different opinion. I have a different perspective. I have a different view on that, and I'd like to share it. Sorry for taking up space. We arrive somewhere and we just like, you put your handbag here, I'm not gonna take a, what's up? It's your chair. Take up space. Sit down. Be there. Sorry for entering. Sorry for being here. We're constantly sorry. Sometimes we're just sorry for existing. We are sorry about everything. You're about to speak to your manager. I'm sorry, but do you have 5 minutes? Do you have 5 minutes? You're giving a presentation, you make a mistake. Instead of saying 1,000, you said 100,000. And then Unati corrects you. She's like, no, actually it's 1,000. Sorry, I made a mistake. It's actually 1,000. No, thanks Unati, you're right. It is 1,000. And we continue. But the way that you handled it, it keeps inspiring trust in you. Okay, we're gonna have questions later. If you ask me a question and I don't have the answer, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Let me just think about it. I actually don't have the answer. If you ask me another question after that and I do have the answer, do you really trust my answers now? No, you're like, I saw just now, like you were crashing out when you don't have your answer. But if you ask me the question and I say, that's a really good question. I haven't thought about it that way. But you know what? I have a resource that I can share with you that will definitely have the answer. And I keep my word on that. The next question, and I do have the answer, do you still trust me, even though I didn't have an answer previously? Absolutely, because I owned it. I wasn't apologizing like, oh, this means I'm so silly. This means I'm so inexperienced. No. So we don't have to apologize for everything and for things that you did not do wrong. It's okay to not have an answer. It's okay to make a mistake. It's how you deal with it that differentiates between a leader and just, the person at the back that we're not really going to be listening to anymore. So, in our communication, we want to be assertive and not apologetic. Okay. But what does it mean to be assertive? Okay, be able to get your point across. Confidence in your statement. Believe in what you're saying. How many of us would say we're assertive? Like, I'm assertive in my communication. Okay. Awesome. And what does it mean when you say that you're assertive in your communication? Nosy? Oh, who was Nosy? I got the wrong Nosy. So you're like, I don't know. Gugu. Okay, what does it mean when you say you are assertive, Gugu?
sure. I'm confident of what I'm doing or whatever, who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, what I want you to remember with assertive communication is that there's almost a spectrum. On the one side, we have passive communication. This is where it's like, no, anything you say, yes, no, your idea, yeah, anything that you say, it will always be the other person's way. What you think doesn't matter. Your contributions doesn't matter. If you're uncomfortable with it, it doesn't matter. If you wanted to say no, it does not matter. And this is to you. It does not matter to you. And that's why you say yes, 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 yes to everything. You'll be in the meeting, they're like, can you take this on? Yes, I'll do it. And you get out, you're like, tender, they always do this. They always like think I should take it. But in the meeting, you had the opportunity. You had the opportunity to ask, can you take this on? I know that sometimes situations are tricky, they're challenging, but there are ways in which you can position something and say, I don't have capacity right now, and I would want this to get the attention that it deserves. So I don't think I'm the person right now. Okay? And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have aggressive. Over here, it's my way or the highway. I don't care what you think. I don't care what your idea is. I don't care if you don't want to do it. If I said we're doing it, we are doing it. How many of us are aggressive? Are you aggressive? And then before we get to assertive, we have a spot there where it's passive-aggressive. So they say, oh, Unati, will you be able to take on this project? Instead of saying yes or no, oh, it seems like all the projects come my way these days. What are you saying? Yes or no? Now you're passive-aggressive. You're so sarcastic. Never getting to the point. But you're making the rest of us laugh, right? We're there, oh, Unati's so witty. But you actually don't give answers. You actually don't stand on anything. We don't know where you stand. And then we have assertive. Assertive is where you're saying, I hear your point, and I'm genuinely going to listen to what you have to say. But I also believe that my contribution matters. I also believe that my view matters. And so I'd like to share that too. That's a person who's assertive. You respect the rights, the boundaries of the other person, but you respect yourself as well. You respect your boundaries. You respect your rights. And so, oh, are you going to work this weekend? Unfortunately, I won't be working this weekend. No long stories. No, oh, my cat, my dog, my niece, my grandma. No, my aunt from my mom's side. No, none of that. I won't be working this weekend. I don't have the capacity. Okay? So it is very direct. And there are certain words that you hear when people are quite assertive. So somebody invites you to a party, your friend invites you, you kind of don't want to go. And so now you start, hey, friend, I can't make it because blah, 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 blah. There's a difference between can't and won't. I won't be making the party, but I hope you have a good time. There's a difference between, oh, did you have a look at this report last night? There's a difference between I should have, because that's a bit more judgmental, like, why didn't I? I should have done it. And I could have, but I didn't. I could means I had a choice. I chose not to. So this is how assertive communication starts coming in. Okay, you respect the other person, but you remember, I'm also a valuable member to this meeting or this conversation. And so I also respect my boundaries and I respect my rights. Okay. So here's an example of passive. Sorry, maybe if it's not too much trouble, okay, I guess, yeah, I can do it. Assertive is, I need your input by Friday. Can you commit? The person can say yes or no, but you're very direct. They're not doing mental gymnastics to try and figure out what you want. It's not, hey, do you think you'll be, maybe if you can, like, no, I need this by Friday. Are you able to? Aggressive will be, you need to do this now. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care what's happening at work. You need to get this done now. So in your communication, I want you to aim for assertive. I want us to do an activity. And after the activity, I'll tell you why. I need 2 volunteers. Different volunteers. Hey, Unati's sitting up. She's like, I've been up. She's even looking at me direct. She's like, I know you're not going to call me I've been. Oh, yes. I saw a nomination. Come through. Come through. I saw a nomination. We'll start off with your name. Sorry? Arabile. There's lots of Arabiles here. Is it a criteria? Okay, so we'll start off with Arabile. Once he's done, then the next person will come up. Okay. So it's a tongue twister challenge. I made it up because I was like, we need African tongue twisters. So.
So do I say this?
Yeah, so you're going to say this. First time, read it normally. Second time, a bit faster. Third time, really, really fast.
Bafana Bafana bought boerewors from Boksburg on a busy Saturday. Bafana Bafana bought a boerewors from Boksburg on a busy Saturday. Bafana Bafana bought a boerewors from Boksburg on a busy Saturday.
Okay, who's our next volunteer? Oh, Asanda. She's like, when I catch you. Here you go. So the first time you read it normally, second time you go a bit faster, third time you go really, really fast.
I'm the one who gets Afrikaans. Gesip, okay. The Johannesburg Go-Go's geezers gone gesip in Gauteng. The Johannesburg Go-Go's geezers gone gesip in Gauteng. The Johannesburg Go-Go's geezers gone gesip in Gauteng.
Okay, so what I liked about that, especially with Asanda's, is that when she tripped in the beginning there, she didn't stop to apologize. Okay, so I'm glad you were listening. She didn't stop to apologize because the thing is, mistakes are normal. And sometimes you trip over your words. Sometimes you mispronounce. Sometimes you haven't seen something before. Or there's that colleague whose name is a bit of a tongue twister, right? But you're doing your best and you actually say it. So you're not constantly apologizing where you are genuinely trying. You are genuinely putting in effort. Okay? Thank you so much. Okay. So recap of voice. And I want to know which one stood out the most for you. Do you feel that you need to start valuing your voice first? Okay, awesome. And how many of us are saying, I need to own my presence? It's in my body language. It's in how I speak. Okay. How many of us are saying, I need to be intentional? I must not ramble. I must give enough information. I need to be intentional. One thing I didn't mention with intentional messaging, right? How many of you here, even though you're here in the room, you've got thoughts about home, you've got thoughts about what you need to prepare, you've got thoughts about emails for tomorrow, you've got thoughts about... Okay. Can you see how we all have a lot on our minds all the time? Now, can you imagine somebody who's just rambling and not getting to the point? What exactly do you want when somebody speaks to you? You want them to tell you what you need to know so that you can then take the next step. And that's the same with your audience. What do you want for them to know? What is the goal of you speaking? At the end of this, is there a decision that they need to make? Give them the information for that decision. At the end of this, is there an action that they need to take? Give them that information. And anything that is not that, you keep it out so that you don't confuse them. Clarity is kindness. If you tell someone exactly what they need to do, they actually walk away quite empowered. They're like, oh, okay, this is the step that's needed from me. That's all that's required from me. As opposed to walking away like, what was that again? And it's easy for people to not stick with you because we all have a lot going on our minds. So when you're speaking to people, be kind, and be kind in the clarity. Then, how many of us need to catch the critic? Hey, it's all of us. It is all of us, me included, constantly catching that critic. And then how many of us need to express without apology and express assertively? Absolutely, absolutely. Last activity. I need 2 people. Come through. Yeah. Okay. So, we're going to do this activity. I want you to face each other and look at each other nicely. So, notice her jacket, notice her black sneakers, notice her black t-shirt, her glasses, etc. Okay. Then I want you to turn back to back. So you face that way, and she's going to face this way. All right. I want you to change 30 things about your appearance right now so that you are completely unrecognizable. You don't know where to start, right? You're like, okay, yeah, she's like, I'll start somewhere. You don't know where to start, right? And it feels a bit overwhelming. Okay, all right. Okay. Now, instead of 30, I want you to only change one thing. Just change one thing. You can take your glasses off, take your watch off. Just change one thing. Okay, perfect. Turn around and face each other. What's the big change? Can you tell immediately?
Her face without the glasses.
Yeah. And what's her big?
Her jacket.
You saw her jacket. Okay. But what was easier? Was it easier to change 30 things at once, or was it easier to change one thing?
One thing.
Okay. And what, in terms of pressure, did you feel pressure when you had to think about 30 things, or did you feel pressure when you only had to think about one thing?
I felt pressure for 30.
30.
Okay, perfect. You can take a seat. Okay. So this is to say that in today's session, you learned a lot of things. And we're like, I need to change this, I need to change that, I need to become this, And the thing is, if you try to implement everything at once, you are going to overwhelm yourself. And then you might say, actually, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not cut out for this. But I challenge you to change one thing. Identify one thing that you can implement. It's a lot less pressure on your mind. It's a lot less anxiety. And you are very clear on what that one thing is. Once you're good on that one thing, then you go on to the next thing. Okay? But don't try to be completely unrecognizable by tomorrow. It's not going to happen. You're not going to sleep tonight because you'll be thinking, okay, and then when I walk in, and then I'm going to pause, and I'm going to pace, and I'm going to volume. It's not going to work. You're just going to put so much pressure on yourself. Okay? So don't change 30 things. Change one thing. Only one thing. That's all I ask of you. So you're going to pick one commitment. Remember, how is trust built? By keeping the commitments that we make to ourselves. So you're going to pick one thing. You're going to be committed because that's the promise that you have made to you. We're not going to be betraying ourselves anymore. Okay? We're not going to have high expectations of trust for other people, but not for ourselves. You're going to keep that promise. You're going to build trust with yourself. And that is how your confidence will start to grow. Okay? Now, if we can all stand up, I'd like for us to repeat. And I want you to say it with conviction. Like you mean it. Number one, my voice matters.
My voice matters.
Okay. I speak with confidence and clarity.
I speak with confidence and clarity.
I am a powerful communicator.
I am a powerful communicator.
Okay, we're going to do it one more time. This time we're not going to be there reading. We're going to say it with conviction. Okay? If you have to do it, trick your brain. Trick your brain. Actually, I'm quite a powerful communicator. It might say, ooh, when? But, okay, my voice matters.
My voice matters.
I speak with confidence and clarity.
I speak with confidence and clarity.
I am a powerful communicator.
I am a powerful communicator.
Thank you so much, church.
No, civil rights, Bazalwane. I trust after smoothies from His grace and from all the skills it is that we've received this fine morning. There's just absolutely no excuse for umuda. I actually just don't want excuses. There's absolutely no reason. I have sign-off from Rev. That's what we were talking about. As a matter of fact, now that I've got the floor, when we were told what gifts we'd be receiving, I'll be getting jewelry from Rev. You all are my witnesses. Hallelujah, amen. I'm so thankful. I'll be moving us to the Q&A session. I'm cognizant that there are sessions taking place after this, so I'll try my best to be swift. But before I do, as Umholi said, what church does this for you? Can we just give our good sis? No, it's too much, as they say. It's too much. It's too much. We're going into the new week. With new skills. I'm intentionally trying to practice it now. That's the reason why I forced myself to say yes to this task, because I knew that I had certain weaknesses. Just last week, I had the opportunity, a career highlight of mine, you are first to hear it. I was given the opportunity to present before over 500 people, and that's not something I've ever done before. Mina, public speaking, I know it's like higher when Mtocha looks at you and you just know it's chai. You know it's a rap. You fetch Luka 24 from wherever you left it. If it was 3 years ago, you fetch it from there. And so to be given that opportunity as one of 2 people in the company nationally, the other person that had this opportunity has 15 years of public speaking experience. I have none, if we're talking about professionally. But I'm so glad that we've received such a word, because yes, this is career advice, but it is a word. We are in the house of God. I have no question that this was a word, not just to equip us from where we are going from this point, but to speak on behalf of the kingdom. I'm so thankful for that, because I was telling Vanessa that I wish I had her in my back pocket when I was delivering this webinar, because you gave us so many tips and tricks here to say, own your space. I was given a strict instruction to say you must not go below an hour, and I was worried that my content would not take me to an hour. But when I realized that not only am I going to make an hour, I'm going to go slightly over it, all of a sudden I started rushing. I started questioning that I no longer have the space because I was strictly given an hour. Yes, it's important to manage our time, but there's no question in my mind that when you own the space, those who are listening to you will stay for the extra 10 minutes. And it's important that we remember that in the house of God as well, that you might feel that, oh my gosh, I'm ruining Corinthians 4 verse 1 and 2 right now. But there's someone in the house that has never heard Corinthians before. They are coming from whatever walks of life it is that they're coming from. They've never heard this word before, and so maybe not question ourselves in that sense. Just a couple of my takeaways, only 2 before I move us to Q&A, from Vanessa. I picked it up before this interaction with Sis Nozi here in the front. Ungangishayi, ma. You can't do it. Something that I picked up before this interaction is that Vanessa has picked up names in this room that she's learning for the first time. We're not wearing name tags. When we go to networking events, there's a reason why they print out name tags. They know that it's difficult to remember, but she intentionally says, oh, I was speaking to Martha. I was speaking to Nozi times 2. I was speaking to whomever it was that I was speaking to. If we can't take from that the things that she did not mention in her presentation, I hope we try and remember what it is that she put into practice live for us. I think another one is just, as I'd mentioned, the webinar. Pause, volume, pace. People will listen to you. As long as it's not 3 hours for 10-minute slots, people are there for you. Whilst you've got the space, there's no one else that they're listening to. We will no longer be using Menti, unfortunately, but what I love about that, is that the mic will be moving on the floor. What we've just learned, we are going to put into practice. And so at this time, I'm not sure if I can just ask. I would like to ask, I'm not sure. I would like to ask. I'm practicing live. Yabo, you can't judge me because I live here as a new person. If I may kindly request just a member of the digital team or anyone it is that can just volunteer for me to move around with the mic at this point in time. I will start us off in terms of the Q&A round, but I trust that this is giving the audience an opportunity to prepare your questions. Vanessa, my first question to you would be, for Black professionals who don't have the strongest command of English or any other native language of a place that they're in, how can we actively work towards ensuring that we don't miss out on opportunities by virtue of the fact that we may not be fluent in the native tongue of that place? And the reason why I've asked this question is that I have a colleague who, when it comes to sales, he's African like we are, but when it comes to sales, he blows everyone out of the water. However, he does not have the strongest command of the English language, and for that, I've seen him lose opportunities to prevent and to grow himself from a professional point of view. And it might not be English. Having moved to Pretoria, I've learned that Afrikaans is a language that you must learn in this country, Bazalwane, because there are men, Afrikaans men, that will speak to you in Afrikaans whether you've understood what they've said or not. So we understand now that we can't be fluent overnight in a language, but what sort of tools and skills can we use to ensure that when we're given the floor in a room where the audience might not automatically be in our favor, what can we do to own the space? Thank you.
Thanks, Tendo, for that question. Now, when it comes to English and the command of the language, I know that for many of us, we almost use it as a barometer for intelligence. So a person who's speaking quite well, they must be intelligent. Wrong. I've met people who speak, they have great English. They've been speaking it all their lives, right? So they have a good command of the language. But just like your colleague who doesn't have a great command, but he is a master of sales. Now, it's definitely not going to happen overnight. but there are things that you can do. How many of us read books? Okay, and how do you normally read it? In your head, you might hear the words, but you haven't actually practiced saying them. You haven't trained your mouth to pronounce those words. So the next time you read, I only want you to take 10 minutes. And if you can do it daily, even better. 10 minutes where you read out loud. And you're not going to read out loud like, afterwards, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says." Absolutely not. You want to train your mouth. In your own space, be dramatic. Act as though you're a news anchor. You're on the stage. Afterwards, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, "This is what the Lord." You have to be dramatic. You have to round your words. Use your volume. Go loud. Go fast. Go slow. Pause. But you're going to have to practice it before you implement it. Unfortunately, we can't just download it overnight. But if you read, I challenge you to do it at least 2 weeks. Every single day, you read out loud. Your command will be so much better. You're going to understand certain words easier. You're going to have other words in your vocabulary. Okay. The second thing when you are reading, look out for words that you don't know and Google it right then and there. Then you say, this week, I'm not going to use the word beautiful anymore because I always use, it's a beautiful day, beautiful dress, beautiful tea, beautiful, everything is beautiful. I learned the word glorious. What a glorious day we're having today. And the thing is, it's not that you don't know the word glorious. You know what it means, right? But because you don't use it, it literally goes to the bottom of the tank of your vocab. Beautiful is not going to disappear. You'll keep saying beautiful every now and then. But replace it with glorious. You do that for a week. Now glorious is at the top of your list. Okay. Perfect. So you need to practice, read out loud, and start to replace certain words in your vocabulary.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Confidence. I'm loving to see it. I did not even, people who read the room, I appreciate it. If we could just have a mic for our first question from the floor. If you can stand up and introduce yourself to our good sis Vanessa before you pose your question.
Hello everyone, and hi Vanessa. Oh, this mic is very loud. My name is Heather Hlengiwe Maile. People know me here as Hlengiwe. Some say Heather, yes. Slave name, yes, fine. My mom's in the back, sorry. Yes, but you can call me Heather. It's fine. Thank you so much for the session, honestly. Even through standing here and all eyes on it's very intimidating. But I really wanted just to jump on Tendo's question on that, especially when one tries to express. I was just telling my friend here on the side that what does one do if you find that you're in the middle of a presentation or middle of a webinar or middle of a Teams meeting, and eloquently sometimes it jams, and then you get stuck, and the confidence immediately just kicks in, and the critique starts speaking to you that, oh no, you've stuffed up, and you don't have the confidence to continue. So within that moment of either presentation or communicating with whoever it is on the web, on the computer, you see now it's jamming already. Yes. So something like that, and you find how do you pick up on, on whatever it is that you're trying to put a point across, or you're finding that at that moment there is that sense of interruption or something that just, and the critique comes in, and how do you jump on that immediately just to continue so that at least then you don't lose your pace? Not only just losing your pace, but losing your confidence in that moment. And it completely, whatever you're trying to point or presentation, it's out of the window. Yeah, that's my knack, and it's something that I do suffer with a lot. And immediately when I try to say something or in a presentation, if the confidence is gone, I'm completely gone and I don't continue. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Thengwe. I heard a couple of questions in there. Okay, so the first one, what happens when your mind just jams? So you're forgetting what it is that you wanted to say. Another question is, what happens when your confidence goes away? And then how do you pick up where you left off so that you can now continue with what the presentation was about? Okay, so when your mind jams, remember, when it comes to the mistakes that we make, when it comes to the errors, when it comes to the moments that we're not so proud of, it's not so much the moment, but how it is that you pick yourself after that and what you think about that. When your mind jams and you're telling yourself, I am stupid, this always happens to me, this is how it goes, it's not going to work out, your brain is like, cool, that's the instruction that you've given us. We're going to ensure it's not going to work out. We're going to ensure that it keeps jamming. We're going to ensure that we don't get to the goal. Think of your brain as like a dog, right? And you're giving it a ball. Every thought, every instruction you give it, it's going to run and fetch, whether it's positive or negative. So in that moment, your brain has jammed. My brain jams too. Our brains jam all the time. What you can do is to firstly pause. You actually have to pause. You have to breathe as well. When we're in an airplane and, people are hyperventilating, what do they tell them to do? What do they give them? That brown paper bag, yeah. But why do they give them a brown paper bag instead of just saying, breathe, calm down? So they can see their breath and they can focus just on that. And because they do that, because it's so important, your breath is that important. I know we hear, just breathe. It is actually important. Your breath is literally the petrol for the car. Without your breath, your voice is not going to keep going on. The deeper your breath, the longer you can go. The more shallow your breath, the shorter it's going to be when you're speaking. So you need to pause and breathe in that moment. Then I want you to remind yourself, why am I even speaking to these people? What was the goal? Remember, there's always a goal because we're quite intentional with our messaging. So you're not going to be married to any words or any phrases like, I should have said got instead of bought. I should have said, no. What was the goal? The goal was for them to make a decision. What information do they need to make this decision? So it doesn't matter the word that you had practiced. In this moment, what information do I have to help them make this decision? After you've paused, you've breathed, you gather yourself again, and you're like, okay, so the point that I want for you to consider before we go ahead with this decision is, and then you give them the information to make that decision. And then finally, with confidence, remember, confidence is not going to be an external thing. So it's not going to be because everything is going right, I'm confident. It's not going to be because I feel so good about myself, I'm confident. No. You're going to build your confidence by building the trust in you. The way you pick yourself up in that moment, you are training yourself to know that it doesn't matter if I stumble in this next meeting. I know I'll pick myself up. It doesn't matter if I go blank. I know that I will remind myself what the goal is, and then we're going to go towards that. It doesn't matter that I make a mistake because I'll always pick myself up, correct the mistake, and then we're going to go forward. That's what we need to go in with. Not that everything's gonna be perfect, everyone's gonna listen to me, I'm not gonna make any mistakes, I'm not gonna get it wrong. That's not going to happen. You might get it wrong, you might make mistakes, you might blank out, but how do you stand up after that? That's how you're building your confidence.
Second question at the back. I love this.
Uktula, my name is O Arabile, and I just, in regards of breathing and pausing, would you say that it is essential to maintain posture when you in that moment, or you can just like how do you like maintain posture in that moment of like breathing, and do you like do you breathe out loud, or like which I don't know how to really put it properly, but yeah, would you say like you should maintain posture in that moment, or you shouldn't, or you can like not show that okay you stumbling upon your words? I don't know if that makes sense, but
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. How many of you noticed the amount of times I stumbled on my words there? Don't say none, I did stumble. How many of you noticed? Not really, because you weren't really looking out for that. You were looking out for the message, right? Because sometimes we're so in our heads, we're like, everybody noticed it, oh, get it right. If that's what you're thinking, of course you're going to keep on making mistakes. Now, when it comes to, I'll first cover breathing and then I'll cover posture. When it comes to breathing, there are different breathing techniques. But what I encourage for you to do is to breathe out longer than you breathe in. So if you do it now with me, you breathe in. And then when you breathe out, pretend like you're breathing out through a straw. So you're letting out very little. In the moment when your heart is racing, it will start to calm you down, because it actually lets your body and your mind know you're not under attack. It is okay. So breathe out longer than you breathe in. Okay, so it's not just, sometimes that feels relieving, so you just, but you're in a meeting, you're speaking in front of people, breathe out longer than what you're breathing in. So cool. So I'm going to pick it up again, and then you continue. Now, when it comes to posture, as you are now, I want you to nod. Nod. Okay, great. Now, straighten your spine. Roll your shoulders back. Your chin parallel to the ground. And now nod. Did you feel the difference? Imagine you were in a salary negotiation, and you were nodding the first time, and you're like, yeah. Do you think they're going to increase it when you say, I want more? No. Now, if you nod the second time and you're like, yeah, consider it, they might say, what's on your mind? They actually care because you're coming across differently. So you want to keep the posture in a way that serves you. So I'm not going to say don't slouch or be up. What is going to serve you in that moment? If you need for everyone to know that you are the person in authority in this moment, you have to keep that posture. But if you want to be relatable and you say, okay, guys, whew, what a day, you then might have a slouchy posture. But confidence generally is communicated with a strong posture. Okay? And that just also communicates that you're trusting yourself. I think in that moment, you've made a mistake, you've stumbled, fine, you've breathed, but what are you communicating to us with your body? Are you also communicating that you're just taking it out on yourself in your head? You're just so disappointed with yourself. Oh, I just made a mistake. Or you're like, oh, I stumbled there. What I meant to say is, absolutely, because mistakes are normal. Awesome.
Tula,
Just to manage time, I've been told that I can only take 2 more questions. And so unfortunately, in the order that I saw it first, again, just to manage time, we'll take the next 2 questions. Our lady in the green at the back, and then Uzama.
Oktula, my name is Kulisiwe Mkonza, and I have a question for Vanessa. Thank you so much for the lessons that you've shared with us today. So I have 2 questions. The first question I have is, how do you strike a balance between being assertive and being aggressive? Where do you realize that, okay, now I'm actually being aggressive and I'm not actually being assertive? And then the second question, I think you sort of answered it, but you can expand on that if possible, please. The second question I had was, how do you maintain composure when you realize you've been triggered, probably at work, or you know, you realize that this question is either insulting my intelligence, this person does mean harm in what they are asking me. How do I still not react from a place of being triggered, but rather from a place of composure? Thank you.
Awesome. So the first question, how do we balance, I hope we're not balancing between aggressive and assertive, but how do we see, the fine line, okay? So remember, aggressive means that you disregard everyone else. You disregard their thoughts, their ideas, their boundaries. You don't care. Whereas assertive, you care, but you also care about your own. Okay? So if you find yourself in a situation where everyone around you is constantly agreeing with you, you might be aggressive because they're actually not safe around you. They feel that, when we're talking to her, it's literally her way or the highway. And she doesn't see it, right? She's like, I'm so welcoming to ideas, but I never get ideas because we are scared. Okay, our ideas keep getting shut down. So if you notice that the people around you are constantly agreeing, then they're not being authentic, they're not being assertive, and maybe you just don't provide psychological safety. You are too aggressive. You completely trample on our boundaries, on our rights. You don't care. And so if you notice that, then you need to work on yourself. You need to say, okay, here, I'm actually being an aggressive person. How can I get into a conversation with this person or with these people to show them I do take into account their rights. I do take into account their boundaries. So you can think about that. Okay. And then secondly, my mind went blank.
I'm seeing factors now.
Yeah. Yes. So how do you compose yourself when you've been triggered? The unfortunate thing, or fortunate, sometimes it's unfortunate because you've gone through certain things that may not have been your fault, but it's your responsibility now, especially as the adult. It's your responsibility now to deal with it. But it's also your responsibility to not necessarily bleed on people because you haven't fully healed. When it comes to being triggered, in the moment, maybe ask yourself, what would make me proud? What would make me proud of the way I handled this? And it's not to be passive. It's not to say, somebody insults your intelligence and now you laugh along. No, we're not going to laugh along. We're not going to laugh along. Maybe it is picking it up with the person afterwards. So in the moment, we say, okay, so if we can return to point A, you continue with that, but then you pull that person aside because that's also assertive communication. And it's not going to say, you triggered me, you're so mean, you're so cruel. No, you're going to say, I. So you're going to own it. I don't appreciate that comment. I don't appreciate being disrupted. I was going to say disinterrupted. I don't appreciate being disrupted in the meetings because we have a goal for that meeting. My request from now on is ABC.
So you're very assertive about that. You're not going to call them names. You're not going to give them the power. You make me feel so bad. You trigger me. We're not giving them that. You're letting them know where you stand. And you can take it up one-on-one. I think if it doesn't work one-on-one, then we can talk about escalations. But I prefer to just deal with it one-on-one. But in the moment, in that meeting, I have a goal. I know that my audience is here for a decision. I know that they're here for an action. And your little remarks are not going to distract me from that. Okay? But there's also work that needs to be done just to understand why you're still being triggered. Especially if it's not true.
My name is Zamasvia. Thank you very much, Vanessa, for the insightful session that you just gave us. So one thing that I struggle with is eye contact or maintaining eye contact. So I just want to ask, Uguti, what can I do to build up to learn how to maintain eye contact? Like you said, Uguti, it makes a person feel seen and heard and valued. So what can I do to trying to build up to maintain eye contact?
Okay, awesome. So I've got 2 questions. Number 1, why do you think you struggle with eye contact? Or what goes through your mind in that moment? You're like, oh, let me not look at them because?
Sometimes, what you touched on, Uguti, when we speak, what are the things that we need to nip in the bud? Like, Uguti, sometimes I don't know, I don't know, maybe when I'm speaking on something, I don't know, all the information that is needed. So I'm just I'll just speak on one thing and, because I don't know everything that is I'm supposed to be communicating. And one thing that I struggle with is that I just want to know everything. I want to know A to Z. Yeah, but maybe sometimes I know maybe A to B, and then, I just, okay. Yeah.
And if I were in your space and I was speaking to you and I don't know everything, how would you treat me? Just based on me not knowing everything.
Well, what I've learned over time is that you really don't have to know everything. Like you said, Uguti, you can make space, Uguti, and say, at the moment, what is being discussed, I don't have all the information on what is being discussed. So I not be the person to answer on what is. Can I maybe answer on the next thing? Yeah, so I can give you more grace. Uguti, maybe you open space. Uguti, you will make a mistake, and it's okay. Like you said, Uguti, it's okay to make a mistake. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm glad you would give me grace. When will you give you grace? And it's going to have to start with you, right? So you're going to have to give you grace. Can I tell you, Zama did incredible eye contact with me right now. We spoke the entire time. So you know how to do it. You just need to give yourself grace for the things that you don't know. And sometimes I wonder, we want to be in these roles, but we want to know 100%. What would be the point? You wouldn't be challenged. You wouldn't be learning anything. You wouldn't be excited about anything. So be excited to learn. Walk into rooms like, you know what, I'm here to learn. So I'm going to ask the question that might sound silly because I'm here to learn. I'm going to make a comment. I'm going to share ideas. I am here to learn. I can promise you there is no expert of experts. There's always someone who knows more than the person who you think knows more, and it literally never ends.
Thank you so much to everyone who has asked their questions. Vanessa, love you down, good sis, love you down. At this point, I will take us to closing. And I felt it apt to refer us to scripture briefly. We've got Rev coming to truly wrap up the show, but it is on my spirit just to refer us to scripture briefly. I'll be reading from the book of Exodus 4, verse 1. I will not read the entire chapter. Verse 1 says, Moses answered, "What if they don't believe me or listen to me and say, 'The Lord did not appear to you'?" Verse 8, then the Lord said, "If they do not believe you or pay attention to the first miraculous sign, they may believe the second. But if they do not believe these two signs or listen to you, take some water from the Nile and pour it out on the dry ground. The water you take from the river will become blood on the ground." Moses said to the Lord, "O Lord, I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." The Lord said to him, "Who gave man his mouth? Who makes him deaf or mute? Who gives him sight or makes him blind? Is it not I, the Lord?" 12, now go, I will help you speak and will teach you what to say. 13, but Moses said, "O Lord, please send someone else to do it." 14, then the Lord's anger burned against Moses. I've read the scripture because I want us to remember that the struggles that we have today are not unique to us. They are not unique to this generation, because for context, I'm sure we all know how this story ends. Moses has been instructed by the Lord that you will now go to the Israelites and tell them that I have sent you and I have relieved them from slavery. In addition to that, or rather by doing that, he has also told him to go to Pharaoh and ask that, "Let my people go." I decided not just to read 13 and 14 where it says, "But Moses said, 'O Lord, please send someone else to do it.' Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses," because I wanted us to see a bit of background, that the God that we serve is cognizant of our anxieties. He doesn't claim them. He does not give them room. Instead, he allows you to voice your anxieties. But he says, "I will be with you. You must be confident because I will give you the words to speak." God had every right to say that, "As my child, I'm not going back and forth with you. I'm sending you to go and relieve the Israelites. Go do that now. I'm not going back and forth on you." But he allowed Moses to air his fears, and with each and every single fear, he had a word of confidence and encouragement for him. But what I wanted to emphasize was the last two sentences, where it says that the Lord's anger burnt against Moses. This entire time, God has allowed Moses to negotiate with him. He's been saying, what if they question the God that has sent me? What if they don't understand what I'm talking about? What if, what if? Not once did God get mad. The moment the anger of the Lord burnt against Moses, it was when he said, "Please give this assignment to someone else." It was rejecting the purpose that God had placed over Moses. Moses was making himself God in that moment, to say that, "You might have forgotten, Lord, but the stature that you gave me in the world makes me inadequate in front of other people. How can you send me?" God got angry. And for those who don't know, go back in scripture. This is the first time that scripture tells us that God got angry explicitly. Not even when Cain murdered Abel. I think any parent would be upset to see that a brother has murdered a brother. God ensured that justice was served, but scripture did not tell us that God got angry. God got angry for the first time explicitly with Moses when he said, "Give this instruction that you've given to me to relieve the slaves of Egypt to someone else." God took personal offense to that. We think of Jonah, the prophet. I relate to him because, as you would imagine, we are both flight risks. Maybe no longer now after this session. But Jonah did not even bother negotiating with God. Jonah got on a ship the moment he heard the word of the Lord saying, "I'm sending you to Nineveh." Jonah got online and he said, "Quickest flights to Greece." And then he realized that flights don't exist. He's like, "I'm just going to have to get a ship." But I think if flights existed, we would have been in the same row. And in his mind, he thinks, God, the creator of the oceans, will not be able to find me on the oceans. We know how that story ended. God might not send a fish to swallow you tomorrow because you rejected the opportunity to stand in your space, as Vanessa has taught us. It might not be a car accident. We don't know what it could be. But may we learn from our spiritual or biblical ancestors who struggled with the same anxieties that we have today, that it ends positively. It ends in lives being changed. It ends in souls being won over for the kingdom. To Vanessa, I thank you so much for joining us today. I'm not sure if we have a member of the team just to step forward with what it is that we've prepared for her. I don't have her gifts, but if we could quickly just step forward. Vanessa, on behalf of the church, would like to thank you so much for your time and for your skills that you've imparted on us, that we will execute not just in the professional space, but in the house of God. That's where it matters most. There's no question in my mind that we walk out of this space far more empowered than when we walked in. We love you, dancers. And for the good people that would want to get in contact with you after the fact, I'd like to believe that you are on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn. Is it that you've got a website that people can book with you privately if they'd like to continue their sessions with you after the fact?
So you can email me, info@vanessabukasa, BUKASA.com.
Thank you so much. It is at this point in time that I will invite our good Reverend up to the stage just to wrap up the show in prayer and in a vote of thanks on behalf of the church. To the congregation, this will be my last word to you from the stage. I wish everyone safe journeys, and if anyone stutters, when Mtocha points at us next week, I'm judging you. I'm judging you.
Thanks, Sunda. Ukuthula. Thank you so much for really organizing this. To the team that has really put this together, I do believe that this has been one of the most empowering sessions that we've had. I believe all of them have been and are empowering, but I do believe that this is one of the most empowering sessions that we've had. And thank you so much for really arranging this and making sure that it is the success that it has been. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for your spirit and for gracing us. I truly connected with your message. I truly connected with your content. And I do believe that everyone connected with your message. I do agree with Tendo when she says this was beyond just a session, but it was the word. You know, when you started, you'd say, as part of your framework, when you say you need to believe in your own message. Because if you don't believe in your own message, your audience will not believe in that. And so we are in the business of communication. So as a church, we are in the business of communication. And this is one of the biggest skills, if not the skill that we require to be able to communicate the gospel. But I think it requires us to be convicted first of our message of the gospel before we can even speak it with conviction and with courage and with, assertiveness and all the things that we have been taught. And thank you so much for sharing your framework. I do believe that you need to patent this if it's not yet patented, and really, it's yeah. So thank you so much, and really, we really appreciate. We have been trying to, over a number of years, to really get skills like this. I do recall that at some point we wanted to do a Toastmasters to get our young people, the skills and the confidence to be able to communicate quite clearly and with clarity. But I think we are in that path, and these partnerships that we have and hope that will continue will really help us to really have those skills to be able to empower ourselves. And thank you so much to the congregation for making time. It's a Sunday. I hope you really enjoyed and you are empowered. Thank you so much for your time and your questions and your presence. I hope you did enjoy the smoothies. It was really tasty and nice. And Tumholi, thank you so much. this was really wonderful. A nice gesture from Hod to say, as we enjoy this, let's have some smoothies. And yeah, I hope I've turned. Thank you so much. You are becoming. You are becoming one of our hosts that we are going to exploit. But thank you so much for agreeing to you've been a wonderful host this morning, and thank you so much. And to everyone, siyabonga kakhulu, sengathi uNkulunkulu angabusa isikhathi senu, and I hope you walk away very empowered. And as we close, may we bow our heads in prayer. Nkulunkulu siyabonga lesikhathi osinikeza sona namhlanje, isikhathi sokufunda, isikhathi sokukhula, sokukhuliswa ekwazini. Nkulunkulu oyingcwele siyacela Baba ukuba lokhu kufunda nazonke izifundo Nkosi yami esithole namhlanje siphume nazo Baba Jehova, sisikhulise ekwakheni umbuso wakho nokwakhela igama lakhe emhlabeni. Nkulunkulu oyingcwele sinikeze Baba Jehova isibindi sokukhuluma ngezwi lakho eindaweni zonke, singabi namahloni njengokusho kwakho izwi lakho uma ethi umbhalo anginamahloni ngevangeli. Singabi namahloni ngezwi lakho, singabi namahloni ngokukhuluma ngezwi lakho, kodwa sibe nesibindi silikhulume ngokukholwa, silikhulume Baba Nkosi yami ngokuthemba ukuba Nkosi yami konke sikwenzayo sikwenzela igama lakho. Baba siyabonga sesihlukana, phuma nathi Nkosi, busisa Baba Jehova uVanessa esihlangene namhlanje nomsebenzi wakhe, ukhulise qhubeke phambili Nkosi yami, ethinta Baba Nkosi yami in her ministry omnikeze wona, kungeyona nje kuphela umsebenzi kodwa it's a ministry esikholwayo kuba ekukhuliseni abantu bakho Nkosi bazoba yilokho obamisela ukuba beyikho. Nkulunkulu engcwele, khulekela ibandla lakho Jehova kuba ulimise njalo Baba, libe yilokho ofuna ukuthi libe yikho. Lesi sifundo nalezi imfundo esithola namhlanje zisondeza kulokho ofuna ukuthi sibe yikho njengebandla, ibandla that has confidence ekukhulumeni izwi lakho, singabi nokwesaba, singabi nokungabaza. Nkulunkulu busisa Nkosi yami ubuholi bebandla bume njalo Nkosi yami ngezikhathi zonke with a vision oyinikeze ubuholi bebandla ukuba buqhubeke. Nkulunkulu engcwele ubugcina ubuholi bebandla njalo. Siyacela Baba ubusise nabo bonke abahlelile Nkulunkulu engcwele uqhubeka nokwenza umsebenzi wakho kuba ibandla lakho likhule njalo, lime njalo, liye phambili. Konke lokusicela ngegama lakho Mfowethu uJesu Kristu manje kuze kube phakade. Amen.